Hey guys, Scott here. Before the video continues, I just want to say a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsors. Project EXT has been instrumental in helping us support both the Digimon and Dragon Ball communities with tournaments and product, as well as giving you a discounted price. You can find a link below with the code LPG5OFF on orders over 50 USD. We'd also like to thank Card Market for providing us with vouchers. For those who are just signing up to Card Market, we also have vouchers to give you a little bit extra to start buying with. Card Market, one of the best places to get singles in Europe. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys, welcome to London Players Guild. Uh, Sorry it's so late, but the event has been really taxing. I had my move happening, but here we are finally, the interview with a person that made Bulma jump up in price fivefold. We're with Nathan Hills,
Hi.
our own London Players Guild Nathan Hills, who got second place on Card Market event on Sunday with the deck that you see on the screen. So Nathan, how was the event for you? You played both days, right?
Yeah, day one didn't go too well for me. I went 3-2 in day one, so it's best of one. It's going to happen at some point. I played against a deck which kind of caught me off guard. It was the new Goku reboot leader.
Yep, that was against George Machado, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, he beat me in round one, and then I lost round 5 to Anthony, who was playing Shenron. Sin Shenron.
We were very stoked when we've seen Sin Shenron on stream.
Yeah.
This was not a format to bring a control deck to.
It's not, but it also does have the capability of being able to just win certain matchups. Like some decks, it's just going to fold pretty hard against it. Like having a big revenge blocker in play, and it can like have aggressive run ups if you can drop the if you can go up the chain very quickly. It can apply a lot of pressure. But yeah, it's an interesting call to make in best of one. But like the deck is very good, and it will catch people off guard if they haven't prepped for it, which I don't think many people did.
I think a lot of people were expecting that. Beside that, it was best of one, so everyone was thinking aggro, 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 and Sin Shenron, to get the proper value, needs to get to that turn 6, which sometimes was really difficult to do. But speaking of the deck choices, you decided to play Bonds of Friendship Son Goku. What led you to this decision? What other decks did you consider?
Yeah, so I really like Son Goku, Bonds of Friendship Son Goku. It's a very strong deck, and a deck that I look generally at playing if I'm unsure of the format. Best of one is kind of a format where I'm uneasy about. Most of my testing and playing is in best of 3 because I like the ability of having a sideboard where you can, board into answers for certain matchups where you're not strong or not confident in those games. With Kidku, it's a safe choice because generally speaking, you can be an aggressive deck. You can also be quite a mid-rangey and controlling deck in some matchups as well. Thanks to the card advantage built into the leader and Son Goku, the adventure begins. Like you're generally stocking up on a lot more cards than your opponents are in most matchups. So I went for this deck just because of the fact that it can be aggressive in the matchups where you're paired against a slower opponent or a slower deck where they need to kind of build up their turns, but also on the flip side of being able to be a controlling deck, playing topos and just having more card advantage than your opponent. What other decks did I consider? I considered playing Gotenks as well, but I decided not to play Gotenks in the format. Again, it's a mid-range deck that generates card advantage. I put an article out on the Players Guild website, so you can check that out for blue yellow Gotenks.
Yeah, that's going to be the description.
Yeah, but the reason I didn't go for that again is it's a format which is heavily swayed towards aggro, and there's a lot of, you can see in the previous events that are popping up, that Gohan reboot leader is very dominant in those archetypes, and without having access to a sideboard, it makes some of the matchups heavily skewed in some other decks' favors. So it wasn't the deck that I wanted to bring for this event. So I went back to my roots and just bought Kidku. And Sunday, I went undefeated, first place in Swiss, and then lost to the finals. So I think it was a good choice overall.
Yep, I mean, you lost in the finals to another deck that we were not expecting to see, because that was a Golden Frieza deck, which as we were streaming, because I was on the streamcast, we got really excited when we seen the deck, and then we wanted to get it on round 1 because we thought that we're not going to see it a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Then It ended up going. I think only lost one round somewhere. Not sure to who.
Yeah, I think like it's also there's a reason to obviously bring the decks that perform well, things like Gohan Reboot Leader, who strive for best of one formats where decks aren't always prepared. But there's also a thing to say about bringing the deck you're most comfortable with, and decks like Golden Freezer, where people aren't necessarily prepped or haven't really played that matchup. You're going to catch people off guard, and if you're well versed with the deck, like you're also going to pick up wins that way. So it was a good choice to bring a deck you're comfortable with, and obviously it paid off on the Sunday event.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to walk us through your card choices? So one thing that really stands out to me is the amount of vanilla cards. Because every time I've seen someone playing Kidku in the past, I might be wrong. I don't know, to be honest. I've seen 7 or 8 vanilla cards, where you have 11.
I've always been one to harp on about making sure your deck is as consistent as possible. And one of the things I like about Son Goku is that you can play a consistent deck and get rewarded for it. So I play 11 vanilla cards. You play 4 Ox King, so you can make sure you can get a Ox King into play on turn 2 off your Son Goku. The adventure begins. But the main driver of playing all these vanilla cards is cards like Bunny Girl Bulma, where when one of your red Earthling cards are removed from play, you put it into play, then get an Earthling only card from your drop back into play. So it's just making sure that you have enough targets available in your drop to bring back with Bunny Girl, and also allowing you to charge them, knowing that you're going to find them later in the game. I think, as I said, you just want to make sure you have enough targets as possible. And when you're running things like Training Buddy Krillin and Dimension Sport Trunks in your deck, they're also going to be finding copies of the cards from different locations. So it's just to make sure that you can hit one whenever you need one.
Yeah, so the biggest amount of advantage. An important question that I got from Scott when we were casting, and he was really, really wondering this. Why Ox King over Grandpa Gohan?
I couldn't find my Grandpa Gohans on the day, on the day where I had to submit my deck list. Otherwise, I'd play Grandpa Gohan. Sandy Cater managed to save the day and lent me his Ox Kings for the format. So personally, I prefer Grandpa Gohan because it's a throwback to the Great Saiyaman era of Mono Blue Kidku. But yeah, Ox King was a close second because it's Earthling.
Okay. Another interesting card. Obviously, we have some new cards here. We have the Bunny Girl Bulma, which we already touched on, which is why all of your vanilla cards are at least part Earthling.
Yeah, so with Bulma Bunny Girl, it doesn't get back Son Gohan Brainwash, but if Son Gohan Brainwash is removed, it still triggers Bulma, which allows you to get back a Yamcha or an Ox King. So it's important that all of your vanilla cards at least have Earthling in its card type.
Yeah. Shenron, the unison of rescue, it is.
Yes.
So the card is obviously designed for this deck. How did you find it?
I was really excited when they released Shenron unit, or when they spoiled it rather. The card performed really well in the deck. It's just like the bit that kind of excited me the most about the card was that you could play at any point on curve because it doesn't have a specific cost. You can play it on turn 1, you can play it on turn 2 or 5, whatever, and you can use as much energy as you want to play it. So it's at any point in the game, it fills any open energy you have. So it's always an efficient play when you have it in your hand. The fact that it brings back a skillless card when you have nothing in play also allows you, if you have turns where you don't have Son Goku, the adventure begins, you can attack with your leader, discard a skillless card, play Shenron, use its 0 ability and put a skillless card into play, which means you're always putting pressure on the board without having to commit much energy into it. The +1 also is a way to win the game. Giving a skillless card double strike, giving an Ox King double strike, which I did a couple of times, just puts so much pressure in play. And the fact that if you also draw a card from it, so if they do remove the card that you've given double strike, like you've already replaced the card.
And then, of course, it's going to come back from the drop area with Adventure Begins.
Exactly, yeah.
And trigger Bunny Bulma.
Yes, you just get, it just generates like an insane amount of value. So the deck synergizes very well with obviously all the cards in there. the -7 doesn't really come up. You're not really playing to that out. You can do it potentially, and there were a couple of games where I considered charging a 7th energy to play it and bring back a bunch of vanilla cards, but you have to tap out for that, and you don't really want to go shields down with this deck because it has the capability. You're running 4 topos in the deck. You have the capability to play very defensively, so it wasn't really something I was looking to do. But something I was enjoying was running it out very early into the game. It is a 10k unison card, and it doesn't have a defensive combo step, so your opponent can easily pressure it. But the permanent ability, if it were to lose a loyalty counter from it, or a marker from it rather, you can choose to take a life and put it into your drop, which allows for a very early awaken. And obviously with Kidku, you're awakening on 6. So if they decide to put pressure on Shenron, you can use it as a way to self-awaken very early on.
Yeah,
And
that can be a bait. And going into Awakening, that ties us in very nicely into a very special card, because I don't think I've ever seen Kidku running Heartfelt Plea.
I think it was thrown about in a few sets ago. I think when it first came out, it was people were looking at Red Yellow Kidku and trying to play Heartfelt Plea. Obviously, if you're playing battle cards for 0 energy, it obviously is a card you want to be looking at. And Heartfelt Plea is does it all. It's a 30k that obviously when you go to Awaken, you can sacrifice or KO one of your own red battle cards with 25k power or more. So mainly looking at Ox King there.
But there is a synergy with 4-star ball as well. We've seen you do that on the stream.
Yeah, so with 4-star ball, obviously combos happen at the end of battle, so they don't actually apply until after you've both comboed your cards. With 4-star ball, it's an extra card, and the power boost happens instantly. So you can, like I was doing in the tournament, was attacking with my Son Goku, The Adventure Begins, Bonds of Friendship Son Goku, using a 4-star ball, targeting a vanilla card that had already attacked, like a Yamcha, and then awakening in the battle step, putting a Son Goku Heartfelt Plea into play, and then getting the boost of attacking with Bonds of Friendship at 20k in combat. And then you put a 30k triple strike into play, and your opponent has to deal with that. And it's not very hard. It's not very easy to deal with it without a card that removes it from play.
On top of that, the card has offering, so they either take the damage or you get even more card advantage, which you already would have a lot.
Yeah, and if they do have a card to remove it, you're still getting advantage from it when it comes into play from the offering. They can either crit a life or you're drawing 2 cards. So somehow it's replacing itself. And if you're attacking with it afterwards, normally it's going to eat a negate as well, because obviously your opponent doesn't want to take 3 damage from the 30k, because it then makes all of your attacks later in the game almost lethal attacks. So you're getting value from it, and it's a card that's going to pressure your opponent either through their hand or going for the victory.
Yep. From interesting choices, we have not seen you play Android 8.
Yeah, I think I like playing Android 8 because I like it replaces itself, and the combination with using Son Goku The Adventure Begins, it allows you to KO your opponent's battle cards. But I think in best of 1, it's too slow. You want to be applying as much pressure as possible, and it's a very reactive card. So I think for this deck, in best of 1, it's too slow. But in best of 3, I could definitely consider playing some copies of it.
Okay. Any closing thoughts for the deck? Any things that you would change if we had another event in a week? Anything you would change about the deck?
No, to be honest, I would definitely run this back in another event. So anyone playing Gen Con this weekend, I definitely recommend playing this list out. The 4 topos is a must-have for this deck, because I think the thing with this deck is if you don't feel confident you can kill your opponent in that turn, you don't have to overcommit to a lethal attack. You can always hold back energy and have access to topo or power burst, or just having a bunch of defensive cards in your hand to combo away with. So I think with this deck, if you feel like you're not going to beat them, or if they're going to out combo you, you can always play the slower game and wait an extra turn. But yeah, this deck, I think the list is really clean, and I was really pleased with the performance over the weekend.
Yeah, amazing. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to mention from the event, or from the deck, or from anything?
I think the event was very well run and it was organised very well. So that's a good shout out to Card Market there for hosting the event. While the event, I particularly didn't really enjoy the webcam idea. I did prefer it to playing on Untap, and playing with physical cards again while being in lockdown for 4 months was kind of nice. But you know, they've definitely made the best out of a bad situation, and the event was very smoothly ran, a lot smoother than most of the paper tournaments I've played to in the past. So yeah, very well done in terms of organising the event.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for walking us through your deck choices. Of course, you can also see the same reasoning or very more in-depth reasoning on our website, where Nathan is going through all of his deck list ideas for the set 10, which we are currently on number 2, and number 3 is coming down soon. So make sure to check that out. Nathan is one of the most acclaimed players in Europe at the moment. So definitely worth following up on his ideas and scoping up what can be possible better in the next set. Thank you again for joining us, and congratulations on getting a second place on that event. It's a huge accomplishment, especially bringing a deck that no one was expecting at all.
Thanks.
Scott back again here, this time at the end of the video. Thanks again to our sponsors, and I hope you just enjoyed the video. This time I've got to ramble about what's in the description. So we've got our Facebook, our Twitch, our Patreon, our website. It's all down there, as well as the links to our sponsors, any guests or any special credits, and as always our community links are in there also. So our Discord, as well as the Digimon Facebook group and Dragon Ball Facebook group. More may be added in the future. Maybe, I don't know. This is past Scott. Future Scott could do whatever he wants. He's probably not going to do whatever he wants. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.